Across somebody.
All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here, talking, of course, about real music in real time for a few real people out there, just like you and just like me. Got a special guest today. It's always nice to have a guest because I could shut up and let this guy talk, and he's been on a couple of times with me. I think he was one of the early adopters to the whole real music thing. I mean, he came on this show when nobody else would. So, welcome back, my buddy Jeff Scott Soto. How are you, Jeff Scott
Woo-hoo!
Soto?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Yeah, it's what is it? Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. So
Yeah,
here I am,
and
and
Wednesday. So what are you gonna do?
it's raining. So,
There you go. Well,
so
I continue to observe you. I'm
thank
observing
you.
your videos. I observe the the crap that you're going through with the whole shadow banning and all that kind of stuff. It really stinks. And of course, we have our theories on why this is happening. And I listen to your theories and how and why your content's just not coming through anymore, or the way it should be, or the way it used to be. And
Yeah,
man, I feel
well,
for it.
yeah, and I appreciate that. Maybe I'm too much of a conspiracy theorist. I've kind of started to just say, you don't have to think the way I do. Here's
Yeah.
what I think about something, and then you figure it out for yourself. I think that's what people need to do. Just figure it out for yourself. I will point things out though still, and I do tend to
Yeah.
crack a few jokes during videos if I can work them in. I might do a Fauci impersonation or something like that just to you know, Jeff, what you really ought to do before you come on with me is to wear a mask. All right, that's all I ask. All right. Anyway, that's it. I won't do any more.
But man, I get it, and this is one. I guess I'm also guilty of one. You always talking about it. Really takes a big set of what to be able to talk about what you feel and believe in while you're having a career, while you're still doing your career stuff. And I'm one of the guilty ones that just said, you know what, not only am I not going to bring it up, I'm so sick of it all. I'm like you. I'm politically homeless right now. I love that term. That
Yeah.
term should be all over the news headlines because it's such a perfect wording of exactly how a lot of us feel.
Yeah.
And I try to stay out of it because obviously I have my own views. But if my views don't agree with yours, don't agree with, I've lost family members, I lost friends because of that. And I'm tired of losing people. I'm trying to regain the people that have always been in my life, and I want to end my life with all the people that love me and are around me. But I don't care about their views. I don't care about your religious, your sexual orientation. All that stuff is just, it's all, for me, it's all about the music. And you said it in one of your posts yesterday that music is supposed to be the escape. It's supposed to be where you get away from all the everyday stuff and you just put it all aside for a second. And as I'm a singer, as I'm a musician, that's my role. That's my duty to just let you forget about it. Let's not talk about that. Of course, there are politically agenda ridden songs.
Mhm.
There are topics, there are things spoken about within the industry about what's going on around the world. Of course, that's always going to exist. It's been there since the hippie days. And you brought up another thing I think about all the time. All these hippies, the 60s and the 70s. Where did that sexual revolution, free love, peace, we're all equal, all that just went down the toilet because all those hippies that are now older than us are the ones that are still utilizing that ideal that they were against. And what
Mhm.
happened?
Yeah. Well, they were
It,
against the man, and now they are the man. That's the easiest way
yeah,
to look at it.
exactly.
And
I
it's
mean,
been
we could have this conversation alone in just doing a chat or an interview, but
well,
I'd
maybe I
rather.
should have you on the other channel. We could do something on the other channel. We could just
You know,
Soto on
it's
politics. We could just call it
I'm not
Soto
even about
bears
that.
his soul on politics so he doesn't offend the music world. And this is the risk that you take when you come
Yeah.
on here. And because other people have said, I'd like to go on your show, and this is in all the chat rooms and everything. I liked him until he started getting into politics, and then because I just want to hear about music. So I get that, but like I just said before in other videos, I have to do what I have to do. So
No,
where I'm
with
at.
heart of hearts.
Yeah.
And this is exactly why I'm on here. This is exactly why I'm still your friend. This is exactly why I'm on your show.
Still be friends.
Because I
And the
don't.
fact that I send checks out to Soto every so often.
Oh
I
yeah,
get a
yeah.
royalty
I'll
check
pay
from
for that.
YouTube goes right out, right out. I mean,
the last check you sent paid for the blanket that's covering the halo of light coming in from behind me because I'm in my living
that
room, literally sitting on the floor because I'm restoring some drives here and I can't move my laptop. But no, I'm just saying in general, I'm just showing that you don't need to cross that line. You don't need you can keep on your side of the fence or your side of the line, whatever you want to call it, and still be friendly with people and still have other motives and interests together. We don't need to talk about politics to have an incredible conversation. I don't agree maybe on some things. You don't
mhm,
agree maybe on some things, but I don't care. I
yeah.
really don't care.
Yeah. And, and I think you're one of those guys in the business that's actually kind of like a peacemaker. Like I talked to Eric Clapton and he's a peacemaker.
Yeah.
He's not a war maker. And so I think people miss the point of that is that we're not trying to be causing a conflict on purpose. I mean, I know
Right.
there are a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of media sources that they're in the, and I've noticed this lately, Jeff, and you could maybe verify or not, but there seems to be an industry, like a grievance industry or a conspiracy theory industry, where if you don't buy into all of them, then you're the problem for not going along with a
Right.
new group of sheep who have now all decided they know everything and that they're right. And so I think that causes even more problems getting to the facts, getting just to the truth on any topic.
And that's a great way to kind of start this whole thing off. Even just the fact that oh geez, I lost my train of thought because I'm thinking about the blanket behind me.
Well, you got this thing called Art of Anarchy, right? You want to talk about, which is
Yeah.
it's a
Well, no, oh,
powerful.
before we start there, I know what I was going to say. This whole
Right.
clickbait society that we live in
Yeah.
now, they want to make musicians, artists, whatever. They want to belittle them, and they'll. Our conversation is very candid. You ask me a question, I answer it. When I answer a question these days, a clickbait headline comes out of it that I'm still talking about it, that I can't get over it. Why are you writing the coattails of this person? Why are you stalking them? It turns into that when they forget the context of what I'm talking about is I'm answering a question. You ask me a question, you bring up something about Yngwie, about Journey, about Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I answer the question, all of a sudden it's a bashing topic. I'm bashing or putting somebody down because I'm answering your question. And so I'm gonna now from now on, every time I do an interview or these kind of things, I'm gonna I'm gonna start it off with, hey, just to let you know, this is what I mean by this. So when you take the clickbait headline out of it, it's not what it's meant to be. And make sure you watch the entire video or interview before you pass judgment on one little sentence or one little quote. So now we can talk about my past and my future, I guess.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of cut and paste journalism. I like to
Yeah.
focus on that because I will see your name in an article and it'll be the current topic. But then down below, there are, snippets from things that you did like 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Back on that date, and this is how this somehow relates to the
Right, right,
current
right,
topic. Sometimes it has, like, they're trying to keep like a running tally of
right.
your life, and
Exactly.
it's weird because can't we just focus on this one thing? And I think journalism with all the AI and
Yeah.
the creative writing that I read things of like, okay, can I just get this in simple man's English? I don't
Right, right, right.
need this isn't an English lit class. I went through that, didn't like it the first time, did pretty well at it, but I've kind of moved on. So,
And yeah,
yeah.
and that's where a lot of people have decided or stopped doing interviews. They just said, I'm sick of being the subject of somebody's clickbait headline. And I was getting to that point as well. And then I said, you know what? Screw that. I want to do these interviews because I want to talk about the things within my career that are important to me, like this new band, Art of Anarchy, like some of the other things we will discuss. I like talking about it because there are people who genuinely want to know about it. Forget about what's going to come out of it on the negative end of the strip. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to stop doing what I love doing, what I've been doing all along. I've been doing this. We're going on 40 years next year. It's my 40-year anniversary of doing
Crazy.
this. And back in the first few years, I prayed that somebody wanted to interview me. I prayed that somebody wanted to discuss what made me me in terms of my voice and my influences, etc. And now all of a sudden, I have to say, nope, I don't want to talk about me anymore because I'm worried about what's going to come of it. No, screw these people.
Yeah.
And watch right there. Screw
Well,
these people. That's the headline.
that's gonna be that's you're already in trouble.
I'm already there. Yeah.
So let's talk about this song Vilified. This thing's heavy duty. You had who's it, Cuba Gooding Jr. in this video. That's a high budget production, right?
Yeah. Well, we knew bringing this band back. It's been kind of on ice for a while. We knew bringing it back, we had to come in with a bang. And the next video after this is going to be even more so, just insane, intense, whatever. So of course that means money has to be spent. That means you have to get the right people behind you in terms of production and staff and videographers and editors and all that stuff. You can't just go in there and piss out a basic video if you really want to cause a bang. And so that's what we all agreed on. We tallied everything together, what exactly we needed to do before this band re-emerged. And so yeah, Vilified is the first single. It's the album's coming out February 2024. Quick history lesson: Art of Anarchy started the early 2010s in terms of the twins, John and Vince Voda, were writing songs with Bumblefoot. They turned it into those guys they're just so disgruntled with the music industry, and they never made the kind of recordings or even demos or even album that they always wanted to make. So they said, let's make an album. Let's get several singers to sing on them. It'll be just an album for us, just so we can say we finally did it. We can walk away with a nice piece of work, a nice Art of Anarchy. And from that, it was Scott Weiland that was the first one in the mix that said yes to doing it. And as they did a couple songs, it was on his end that said, let's continue this. Why don't we just make Scott the singer and turn this into a band? And that was the early origins of Art of Anarchy. Unfortunately, Scott had his way of getting out of the situation, and then eventually he died like months later after the whole thing just imploded. And they didn't think they were even going to move on from there and enter now the second singer, Scott Stapp from Creed. They did the same kind of thing. They put it all together, made the record, did a few shows together, and then Scott exited kind of the same way the first Scott did. And now you enter the third Scott. The third Scott's a charm here.
Yeah.
My middle name is Scott, so you can't put me as a main Scott, but it's kind of ironic how it all worked out. I just remember having a conversation with Bumblefoot, catching up with him during the pandemic, and just saying, what a pity. I love that band. I'm not a big fan of Creed and Stone Temple Pilots. That, you talk about this all the time. That just that didn't really resonate with me musically. Yeah. But I loved what they were doing musically. And I just kind of like, I wonder what it would have sounded like me singing on that stuff. And he goes, well, you know what? We have a couple of songs that we worked on recently, new songs. Maybe I could send you a couple if you want to just see what you sound like, what kind of mix it would have been. Wasn't an audition, wasn't me. Nobody was pushing the agenda. It was just so organic. I love this music. I love what you guys are doing. I feel bad, blah, blah, blah. And it just kind of happened the same way a lot of things I did during the pandemic happened. We did a lot of recordings during lockdown, a lot of creating, a lot of kind of therapeutic, this is crazy, we need something to get through this time kind of stuff. And from that came quite a few albums, recordings, projects. Ellison Soto did this other thing called Sky Empire. They're just starting to release now. There's a lot of stuff that came out of that, and Art of Anarchy was another one. But now this is the focus came into, let's get this thing out there, and let's finally show the world that this band means business, and we'll give it that push and that shot that's necessary for people to believe this is real.
Yeah, well, the track is pretty heavy, and the subject matter is probably even heavier than the track.
Yeah.
PTSD, which is a problem. Again, we could talk politics again.
Sure.
This isn't really a political thing, except for the fact that it seems that politicians of every single stripe have neglected this issue. Yeah. And we've got these men, mostly men, maybe a few women out there who are roaming around the streets of America in despair. And Cuba Gooding Jr. plays this role in the video. And I tell you, I get a little choked up watching it because this is real life here. You guys are playing this song, and I'm watching it, and it's very impactful, very powerful. The video is closing in on 100,000 views, was released on September 15th, and is just doing quite well, and I think
Yeah,
that speaks
it's resonating. Yeah,
the issue. It speaks to the song, but it also speaks to an important issue where people are fighting about Democrats and Republicans and budgets
yeah,
and
yeah.
this and that. And here's this. Okay, we can't even get this right. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's only a segment of what the lyric and the song is about. I mean, it's it's actually tackling the whole mental health issue. The
Yeah.
video is only a portion of that. As you said, PTSD, you're seeing the character who is a former, they emphasize he's a former military vet, etc. But we're going even darker and deeper in terms of, and to be honest with you, we kind of use the premise of the Joker in terms of, because if you read the lyrics, if you hear the lyrics, you're basically talking about somebody who's vilified for the man that they became, and you get vilified for having mental health issues when people don't know you have this. People don't know how to handle it or treat it. So from that, we utilize a lot of what the character in the first Joker movie was going through, showing the reasons why he turned to crime, the reasons why he has such a hateful, spiteful feeling inside of him came from how he was treated when all he was really looking for was help. It was a cry for help that he never got, didn't get from family, didn't get from peers and colleagues, etc. And this is what he turned into. And that's the focus of what the lyric is more about. And obviously from that, you can have different avenues of where you're taking the mental health issue. And for the video, the PTSD was that one of those portions.
Yeah, it is a good song. And, you were talking about how these guys are doing it. You're doing it for the love of music, and the industry is kind of just neglecting. I listened to this track and I'm like, if I'm a radio guy, which I'm not anymore, but I used to be.
Well, you kind of are with the retro modern.
Yeah, that's my. I've commandeered the entire station for myself. Yeah, I'm programming. I'm programming some of it. But I'm thinking active rock today, mainstream rock. Hello. I mean, why doesn't this fit in next to Disturbed or whatever else they're still playing over there every 10 minutes? System of a Down. What is it? Five Fingered Death Grip. I'm sorry, Death Punch. I know what it is, but I'm thinking, take a chance. Spice it up a little bit. Have a little bit of variety. Is it they hear your voice, they go, oh crap, that's Jeff Scott Soto. He sang in Journey, so
yeah. And you know what? Especially at this age or this stage of my life, as I'm going to keep bringing up, as I'm rounding 40 years in this business. Obviously, you were also in the business on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
You've seen the changes. You've seen the where it might have been difficult then, it's even more difficult now. Some things are easier now, et cetera, et cetera. You've seen the changes. And so at this age, I'm not expecting anything anymore. I used to be so disappointed when something didn't hit. The three albums you have behind you that I did, and I sent you copies of, I stopped that sense of, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever done. This is going to explode. This is going to put me on the map. I've stopped feeling that because I know the reality is, as you bring up all the time, is nobody's going to play it. Radio's going to ignore it. The majority of the music world and media are going to ignore and just put this under a blanket. But there are a core of people that still do care. You care.
Yeah.
That means there are other people that still care. And those are the ones I still make new music for. I love making new music. I'm not doing it still trying to be a household name. I don't expect to be Tony Bennett, for instance. I mean, basically he had to wait for the rest of the Rat Packers, the original ones, to die off before he became the king of that mountain. Yeah. And he held that crown for the longest time. I don't expect to become the Tony Bennett of hard rock or heavy metal. At this point, I'm writing it out. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I will only do it because I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm not doing it because I'm trying to cash in. I'm trying to ride coattails on my name and this, that, and the other. I'm enjoying the fact that I've been able to do this for 40 years, and I'm going to continue doing it until I can't do it anymore. Yeah,
well, you failed to mention that you work a lot harder, I think, than a lot of people out there. You're constantly, every so often you and I, we chat a little bit, and I know you're a busy guy. You're taking advantage of this time of your life because, and we had this conversation before we went live. Someday you might not be able to hit those notes anymore. Someday things just aren't going to be rock and roll anymore for the 75-year-old Jeff Scott Soto. And so,
And dude, I appreciate you championing me all the time. Like when you talk about, I hope Joe Perry has Jeff on speed dial, or I hope Alex Van Halen gives Jeff a call. All those things, it's flattering, but I agree with you. At some point, I'm not even going to be qualified for those bands either. I won't be able to do what would be necessary to be in one of those bands either. And it's the reality, man. We all break down. We get older. It doesn't work the way it used to in our 20s, 30s, and even 40s. And I absolutely understand and agree on all that. So I'm just writing it out, man.
yeah, well, that's all you can do. I mean, Kelly Hansen's out there, and he's just telling it like it is. He's like, look,
Yeah.
he's I think 62, and he's saying
And
I
he's still
can't.
killing. He's still great, but I know as a singer, he has those stressful nights going, oh my God, I was rough tonight. Tomorrow's going to be harder. And you start putting yourself to this strain, because you actually care, because you have a responsibility to deliver and you care. The ones who don't, and you know who I'm talking about, don't care. They go up there and they still get away with it while the rest of the world makes fun of them, but yet everybody still shows up.
Yeah.
There's always going to be those, and there'll always be some of us who actually still really genuinely care how and what people see of us. And I'll always I always use this token term, the way you put politically homeless on the map. I always tell people YouTube is forever. For every 1,000 great shows you're gonna have, people are they're gonna bark on and remember that one that was so terrible, and that's gonna be the emphasis, at least for the next 6 months of your life, that people are going to talk about, that you had that one night, instead of comparing to all the other great nights.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've been in the business now for 40 years. People are probably wondering, you started when you were 9, right? So you're 49, and you've been holding at that 49 for a while. And what was it like in the early 90s? We're going back to 1983. I'm this young kid at college. I walk into the studio, and there's this Yngwie. We're trying to figure out how to pronounce it. And I didn't do the heavy metal show. This other guy by the name of Mark Avery did it, and he called the show The Master of Metal. And he had a pretty big audience for a little college radio station. And he's like, this guy, listen to this classical thing that he's doing, and I've never heard anything like it. And it was pretty groundbreaking. How did you get in with that? I mean, how did that come together?
Well, I've told the story many a time. I'll try to do the abridged version. I was in a cover band. I basically got disheartened when my original band broke up that I was in while I was in high school. I graduated high school, and within 4 or 5 months, the band was over. So I kind of had before I was 19, I had I'm having a train of thought loss here.
Senior moment, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is.
Regardless of that, I thought life is over. My band is over. Now what do I do? And my friend talked me into moving to Colorado and joining a cover band. Mainly the top 40 hard rock and heavy metal songs. So we do Scorpions, Kiss, Van Halen, that kind of stuff. So that band wasn't working. I was not surviving. I was basically ready to come back home, take a Greyhound home, and move back in with mom. And I saw this thing on MTV that Yngwie had left the band Alcatraz and was looking for a singer. Friends talked me into sending my tape, sent the tape to LA, came back to LA a week after I got back. I got the call, Yngwie wants to meet you. Did 3 weeks of going to his house every day, working on songs, recording on his home recording studio. I ended up getting the gig and singing the 2 songs on the first album. There were only 2 vocal songs. The rest of it was instrumental. And then we went in immediately to start making the second record, which was Marching Out, which is the first band album, the official band record.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I left the band before the record was released, and somebody else did the video and the song, basically miming to my voice. And he hates it to this day as much as I hate It's Uncomfortable Watching. It's kind of like a rock star moment when I'm watching, somebody on stage singing to my voice. It's kind of weird, but at least it's movie, it's fiction. But on the nonfiction end of things, I end up rejoining Yngwie and doing the tour on the album that he sang for. So it's a weird thing how it all happened, but that was my humble beginnings. 1984, August of 84, I was officially in Yngwie's band.
Wow.
And in September, I believe the album came out literally like a month and a half later.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna ask a tough question. How's your relationship with Yngwie these days?
It's not a tough question. Unfortunately, it's still exists the way it was the last time you asked, or the last time anybody saw. And I have my moments where I really am trying to reach out and extend the olive branch. I'm always focusing and praising and respecting the career that I built from him and with him. You know, this was a team effort to some degree, even though he's the marquee artist and he insists that we had nothing to do with the creativity and the kind of building that spectrum of his career. But we all had a part to do with it. Even personality wise, we were all, it was all par for the course in terms of what the outcome was. So I celebrate this. I try to celebrate it. I try to extend the olive branch, reminding everyone, I don't want anything from Yngwie. I don't want to start a band with him. I don't want to be a singer again. I just want to be friends. I just want to be civil. I want to be able to reach out and say happy birthday or love to the family kind of stuff, because that's the kind of person I am. I want peace. I want peace and harmony, like Ringo, peace and love, peace and love. I want to go under when it's finally my time, knowing I buried all the hatchets and there was nobody that had a beef with me. And that's the bottom line. It's the same thing with Neil. The whole Journey situation had its kind of a course road of interaction, and finally Neil and I are at peace with each other. I can reach out to him now. He reaches out to me. We're not having coffee. We're not having dinner. We're not starting up the band again, but we're civil now. And this is exactly what I wanted out of life. I don't want anything from Neil. I don't want anything from Yngwie or anybody else that I've worked with in the past. I want peace, love, and harmony. And I just want to be civil. I want everybody to get along. It sounds boring. As we know, the best things, the best stories, and the ones that light up the internet are the ones that, are negative and connotations and walls between us and hatred and all that stuff. But you know what, man, we keep talking about it. I'm nearing 60. I don't want that in my life. I just don't want it.
Yeah. So, I mean, Neil wouldn't do this because he has no need to do it. But if he called you up and said, hey, you want to just go out and jam, not join Journey or anything, but just go out and jam, would you accept that invitation?
In a heartbeat.
That's
Again,
cool.
I have the ultimate respect for Neil as a musician, as a writer, as a producer. The things that he's done have literally put a stamp in music. They've put a stamp in my life musically and influence wise. Of course, I start with that. I look at Neil. I look at what I did with Yngwie. I look at the talent and the talent pool that they come from. And that to me is more exciting than the personality side or the differences in personality. Again, it always comes full circle to what we talked about at the beginning of this. I don't care whatever else you have or think that's different from me. I care more about what we have together in terms of the conversation and in terms of on a musical side, jamming and having fun, and music is about joy and smiling and just having fun. I would do it in a heartbeat because I know I would get all of that from Neil.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've talked about this before, but I've watched that footage from 2006, 2007, right?
Yeah.
And you're on stage with those guys, and you look very comfortable up there. You look like you're a lead singer. You're the front man. I know one of your big influences is Freddie Mercury. And I see a little bit of that in what you do, and it's remarkable because who's Freddie, right? Who can be Freddie Mercury? Who's Freddie? Nobody. People say
right.
Who's, and they'll ask me, who's the greatest frontman? I'll be like, it's got to be Freddie Mercury. I mean, Mick Jagger. There's some great ones out there.
Sure.
But I mean, you were very comfortable on that tour, and we know all about the traditional voice that Journey has had, and your voice is a little different than the traditional voice, but you were a younger man in those days. And quite honestly, when I listen to you performing the songs, I'm going, this is kind of like the Sammy Hagar thing. He obviously doesn't sound like David Lee Roth, and you're getting a different brand. You're getting the Sammy brand versus the Dave brand, and they're two different things, and people accepted that because it was like a merger of corporations. It was like the Hagar franchise merging with this already great Van Halen franchise. And I remember when that album 5150 came out, and I'm thinking, this is fantastic. I didn't have a problem with it. I'm like, I can't wait to hear this. And it was as good as I thought it was going to be. It would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I think you said you recorded and I know that I've listened to the song that you recorded with those guys. Was there any ever like mention of you possibly getting in the studio and doing like a full album before all this kind of imploded?
Absolutely. The whole Walmart deal was already in place when I was in the band.
Wow.
And even before I was dubbed the official singer, permanent singer, they were talking about that. You know, we're still we got to work out what's going to be who's going to be singing on this. So when I was actually inducted as a permanent guy, there were a few discussions that I would have been on that record where we were doing the remake of all the earlier stuff and the brand new stuff. So that definitely was on the table, but unfortunately didn't get to that. And it would have been nice to be able to walk away with at least a block of something that my contribution to and with the band. But unfortunately, we didn't get that far. And you know, again, it's not sour grapes anymore. It's not spilt milk. It's none of that. I'm so happy for what they've been able to do. I'm happy for what I've been able to do because of it. I wouldn't have my Trans-Siberian Orchestra history going. This is my 15th, 16th year with them, but my 15th tour in a row. I wouldn't have Wet. I wouldn't have Sons of Apollo. I wouldn't have some of these things that become so important to me in my life, even Art of Anarchy. I wouldn't have any of these things had I remained just the singer for Journey. And not that it would have been a bad thing. It's just everything happens for a reason. Everything takes its course in life. They moved on. Arnell is a wonderful singer. I loved a lot of what they have done together. I've listened to a lot of the original stuff, and I champion him as much as I champion the band. This band was one of my favorite bands of all time growing up, and they will always remain that. Steve Perry is one of my biggest influences. And I got to tell you, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was a dead ringer for Perry. I could do his vowel sounds. I could do his grammatically. I could sing like him. But obviously, as I got into my 40s and everything's just kind of dropping, you know, the old sack below starts dropping, and everything starts dropping with it, and it becomes tougher. When
Yeah.
I want to say when I got into Journey, I was a fake tenor, where I used to be a real tenor. A fake tenor meaning I could still do it, but it's more of a struggle to get there than it used to be. And now I would consider myself a strong baritone with tenor tendencies.
Yeah, and I think I've tried to describe it that way, but because I'm not the vocal expert like you are, and some
Right.
other people who do really good work here on YouTube, and probably in a few other areas where they write and talk about things.
Can
It's
you explain to me Mickey Thomas though? Can you explain how? I mean, did
can
he
I
make a
explain?
pact with the devil? What's going on there?
Can I
The
can
guy's
I
still.
can I explain
I,
Paul Rogers to you too while we're at it? Although Paul's voice
yeah,
is
but
deeper.
yeah, he never really went up that high. He
But
was never
but
really
still, it's like
kind of
it's
kept it
it's
within.
1970. It's all right now. You know what I mean? What the heck is that all about? But
I
um,
know.
it's just some Mickey Thomas is a freak, and there are a
Freak of
few
nature.
freaks. I was talking to my
Glenn
friend about
Hughes.
Mickey Dolenz the other day because he just
Yeah.
put out a version of "Shiny Happy People," the REM song, and
Right.
whoever thought of that was just this is this is so much bubblegum and like two different
Yeah.
eras of this poppy sort of mystical magical thing. Just really smart, but the guy is pushing 80 and he's got probably no business sounding like that. It's just some
Yeah.
people have good genes and other people poor Steven Tyler, man. What do you think of that?
Oh God, as a singer, it just hurts. As somebody, as a fan, it hurts, of course. But as a singer, I know what he's going through. I know that feeling of defeat, that feeling of, oh, it finally caught up to me. And you don't ever want to feel that feeling. You want to walk away before it gets to that. You want to walk away going, I think it's getting to that. Let me go away with people remembering how they remember me.
Right.
And I still think to this day that's probably what Perry's going through. He knows people expect a certain level of him, and
Yeah.
if he can't deliver that, it's best that he just kind of ghost the whole situation. The ghost everybody, ghost music. He can still do things, and it still sounds like Perry, but of course, it's a fragment of what everybody remembers from his 20s and 30s. And that's not a diss. That's not disrespectful. That's not negative. It's just the reality of as we get older, everything changes. Sammy Hager's decided he's probably going to be slowing down his pace because he
Mhm.
realizes doing multiple nights of that is it's going to hurt him, and it's going to hurt his legacy more than it's going to help the whole overview. And so yeah, with Tyler, it's the same thing. I'm buddies with JD, the drummer that's in there for Joey Kramer, and trying to, just trying to give him a little, like, hang in there, buddy. Hopefully it'll work out, because I know he's excited to get out there and do this tour with them. And I'm really hoping for the best. I don't want Steven to kill himself or hurt himself, but I understand it. And it hurts my soul. It hurt me even when I replaced Jerry. I know that feeling. And Steve bounced back, and I thank God bless him. He's doing some great stuff. I've heard some of his recent things. He sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But I also understand that it's a young man's game. You can't go out there and do 4 or 5 nights in a row, one night off, and do that for a year straight. It's near impossible. The older bands are not doing that anymore. And the bigger older bands, they have the luxury of not having to do that. They can do one show, take 2 days off, or do 2 shows and take 3 days off. Yeah. You can't afford that when you're just trying to pay the bills and pay your crew, Yeah,
Aerosmith can't go on though if Steve is done. They're just this.
No, I would. That's one band. I hope to God they would just say, let's just end it right. I mean, they said it's a farewell. If Steven can't do it, they shouldn't bring somebody out there just to kind of finish it off, because you're not finishing it off. You're doing something completely different.
Yeah. Although I was joking and saying to you, hey, I hope Joe Perry has you on speed dial, and you just kind of laughed at that. But
yeah, I hope he doesn't, to be honest. I hope he doesn't have anybody on speed dial.
We could get those 60s granny glasses for you. You got the hair. We get you a couple of tie-dye things. And I'm thinking, Jeff, we could fool everybody pretty easily with some of the audiences today. We could get you out there, the long, Steven Tyler likes to wear those long flowing things on stage. I don't know, man. I think after a couple of...
I got to lose half of me. There's 2. I'm the size of 2 Steven Tylers. The guy's he's always been so thin and looked like the ultimate rock star, and not me. I'm showing my age in terms of it takes forever to drop even 3. I look at a head of lettuce and I gain 3 pounds.
Wow. All right. Yeah. And Steven Tyler doesn't have that problem, obviously.
No.
We were talking a little bit there about Van Halen, and there was this rumor that I had heard, I think it was last year, about you and Michael Anthony, and I don't know, I'm just going to throw names out there. Maybe Joe Satriani, and maybe we get Alex Van Halen to play drums. What do you think of that?
There was no rumor there. The only thing close to that is Phil X and John Douglas, the guy I was talking about that's with Aerosmith. JD was Alex Van Halen's drum tech. Tico Torres' drum tech, as well as Joey Kramer's drum tech. He was a drummer in a band called Kick Tracy. I don't know if you remember them back in the day.
Yeah.
And obviously the band broke up, and whatever tries and attempts he was going for, he ended up saying, you know what, I'm going to work on the other side of the fence. I'd make a great tech because I am a drummer, and he knows the gigs, so he gets to keep the gigs. He's with the elite of the rock industry in terms of the people he techs for. But he loves Van Halen so much that him and Phil X would do, during sound checks before the Bon Jovi camp would roll in, they'd just jam on a bunch of Van Halen songs, just having fun. And they decided to record one, and they sent, and Phil, he was so excited. He's like, dude, I'm sending you got to put your voice to this. It was one of the Van Halen tunes, the DLR era, of course. And then the idea was, we got to get Mikey to play bass on this and sing background. It'd be so fun just to do it for us. And so obviously the rumors came from, not rumors, it was Mike was talking to Eddie Trunk, and it came out that this is now going to be a band. I'm like, it is? Awesome. And I talked to Phil that day. I remember I was in Brazil and saw the news, and like, dude, I'm down. If Mikey wants to put this together, I can't think of any other band to have fun with something like this. So I was excited, and I'm still excited. I'm hoping somewhere along the way that we can find the time. We can find as I said, Sammy might be slowing down soon.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can find a placement of going out there and having some fun with some good old fashioned BH and Michael Anthony and Phil X and JD. I mean, my God, I would have a blast doing it. And again, I keep talking about, I'll keep harping on the fact I'm doing things because I want to have fun, because I want to enjoy them. I do enjoy them. And that's one of the things I would love to do, because it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And, here's the thing about the Van Halen issue is there's been no closure since Eddie passed. Yeah. So, right. And you're right. I think Sammy, I'm pretty sure he's thinking Cabo Wabo, retirement. Hey, why am I still out here on the road? Maybe I'll do a one-off gig every so often. I don't have to keep doing this. And, to get you and Michael on stage, I think that'd be a huge win, and whoever else is in it. It just, I think a lot of fans would be Just grateful, that the
Talk
music
about
is.
another freak of nature. Michael Anthony still hits those ear-piercing high notes. It's insane. He's got to be like 69, pushing 70, and he sounds exactly the way he did on the first Van Halen record. It's unreal. It's uncanny. I watch him singing lead. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah,
So
yeah, he sang lead on a couple of Roth
yeah.
songs, and he killed them. He killed them. I'm
Exactly.
like, why didn't they do this before? Because he was
Right.
there originally to sing, the backgrounds and the harmonies and everything. And I remember Dave says he is the secret weapon. He is
Absolutely.
in that
And Phil,
band, whether it's the Hagar era or, I mean, he's
yeah.
he's great. He's great all the way through.
Phil X is the same. We spent a month together last month in Indonesia doing a few shows with one of the big bands out there, and we got to break bread and hang out a lot and really, really get to know each other. And that guy is he's so funny especially when when he's tired or his voice is shot, he can't sing low, but the highs are always there. We're going to the last gig on the set on the trip, and he's like, "Oh man, dude, man, my voice is when I get down to a certain part of the song, it cracks. It falls on me. I'm like, but yet he's going like, he's staying up there. I'm like, this is insane. I would kill for that. I don't want my low range. I just want all the high range back.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you got. I've always said you're one of the guys out there, utility guys who could come in off the bench and bail someone out if they were smart enough to do that. That's my humble
Yeah.
opinion. And I know Aerosmith again. They can't. They just can't.
You know what? Crazier things have happened, and I just I keep the wishes and the hopes and the prayers and all that stuff that everybody always talks about. I genuinely feel that for Steven, and I really hope he can pull this off, because at least give it one more shot just to get it out of the way and say you did it, you signed off on top. I hope he's able to do it. I really am. I'm pushing for him.
Yeah, I mean, if you can sing at 75 the way he was when he
Yeah.
was starting the tour, and I listened to, and you know me, I'm always listening, going, all right, is this
Yeah.
Motley Crue or is it not Motley Crue? I'm sorry.
Right.
I mean, I just had to throw that out there, but it was definitely the real McCoy, and I'm just like, how in the world? And now, we know maybe it's not going to be something that he can sustain, but like you said, I'm praying that he can just finish this off, because I grew up
Yeah.
in, like I always say, I grew up in the Boston area, and it was Aerosmith, the Cars, Boston. I mean, Jay Giles band. This was my life, and
Of
it's
course.
you want to see Aerosmith. They said that this is the peace out moment, and they were smart to do that. I think there were a few wasted years along the way, maybe
Yeah.
figuratively and literally. But it would have been a nice ending to
Send off. Yeah.
a great band. So what else is going on in the world of JSS? We got to end up here. Let's talk about
Yeah.
the Art of Anarchy, when
Well,
that's
real quick, wrap it up. I got the Trans-Siberian Orchestra tour, as I said, my
Oh yeah.
15th in a row coming up. I leave for rehearsals in about a month. And again, I always reiterate the fact that I'm so grateful. I'm still part of that core, that family, that camp. I started with them kind of uneasy. I'm like, I don't know if this is for me. And it turned into something that it's become part of my life, to the point where I'm holding on and praying that they want to keep me around, because I've centered my entire life and existence on November and December every year that I'm going to be on the road doing those songs and paying tribute to the amazing production, the amazing idea that Paul O'Neill came up with many moons ago, decades ago.
Yeah.
The fact that he saw something in me to represent his vision and his dream, and that I'm still representing it even after years after he's gone and he's left us. It's a testament to what I'm putting towards the band, and it's a testament to what they feel about me, and the fact that they keep bringing me back. So I'm so grateful. I'm still doing Trans-Siberian Orchestra, the O'Neill family. I'm grateful to them for keeping this whole thing rolling, and management and everybody in that core. It's just such a great thing. It's something that's needed. Especially now more than ever. I thought of it then. TSO was kind of a drop of faith. It's kind of a drop of this. There's something positive to look forward to tomorrow, and that's another reason why I love it. I look forward to being a part of it. I've got the Beeler Soto or the Soto Beeler, depending on whose name you use first. Got a lot of that stuff coming up. I got 4 shows in Florida alone next month with that, and we're going to be doing more into the future. I've got Art of Anarchy, of course, the new album, Let There Be Anarchy, coming up February of 2024. Hoping to follow that up with a tour. And we all discussed that as well. We're going to tour if there's a demand for a tour. We're not going to go out there and force it. We're not going to go out there expecting people are going to show up and people don't show up. We're going to go out there knowing that we're going to be able to play in front of people who want to see us, who want to hear the music, and we can also pay tribute and homage to their past and our future together. I'm sure I've got a new JSS album in the can that I've got to start thinking about working on. The Wet album is done. Wet album's coming out early next year sometime. So there's a lot in the pipeline here for good old JSS.
Yeah, like I said, one of the hardest working guys in this business, and I applaud you for that. I think there are a lot of people that kind of rest on their laurels a little bit. I know you're trying to maximize the time that you have doing this, and I think you realize, the urgency of it. And for fans of this kind of music too, you're helping keep the torch lit, which I appreciate.
You know what? Sure. This is what I do for a living, man. If I can't make an entire full living, like just solid living off one band, if I can't have a Metallica situation where I don't have to moonlight and do all these other things, then of course I would do that. But because I can't just bank on one item, I have to have many different avenues. But that to me is more soothing for a person like me. I get to actually tap into so many different things musically that I normally wouldn't get to do in just one fold. If I were in a Metallica, I can't go outside the box and do an R&B funk thing. I can't do a ballads thing or an AOR thing. I love where I'm at because I can soothe my musical soul by all the different things that I have to look forward to in terms of my career.
Yeah, you're talking a lot about Metallica there. Are you hinting that you want to be?
No, I'm trying to think of one of the bands that literally is on the top of the mountain. And so when I use them as a kind of as a source to compare to where I'm at or where other things I'm talking about are at. And of course, when you get to that level, you can do things as hobbies. What I'm doing now is not a hobby. I'm doing this as a love for what I'm doing, but I'm also doing it because I obviously have to make a living as well.
Yeah. And one of my hopes for guys like you is that, there'll be a big paycheck somewhere. I talk to other guys who I believe deserve, that payoff, that payday, and that's why I'm kind of like, you could be in this band or you could be in that band. And that and the fact, if you come my way, it might be nice to hang out backstage with a bunch of, rock stars, but, a guy my age, it's like a 50-50 thing. So it's gotta be a big deal, so if you're a part of Van Halen, which it's kind of done, but I mean, if say Michael Anthony and true story is I stepped on Michael Anthony's leg trying to get into a picture with him and all the Van Halen, actually Chickenfoot fans back in 2011. And I looked at Sammy Hagar. I love that band. And Sammy Hagar, older than us 10 years ago, looked 10 years younger than we do now back in It was just like, I'm looking at this guy going, okay, maybe he's had some work done.
Freak. He's another freak of nature. He looks amazing, sounds amazing. What a charmed life that guy's had.
Yeah, I mean, we lost Jimmy Buffett a couple weeks ago, right? But like Sammy Hagar is kind of like the hard rock version of Jimmy Buffett, the kind of life he's had.
I've been saying that for years. Yeah.
It's
all about the shorts and the loud Hawaiian shirts, and let's have fun. Let's have some margaritas. It's all about the party.
Mas tequila,
Mas tequila.
Yeah. Jeff, I appreciate so much you coming on and talking. Best of luck for this year and every new endeavor, and Art of Anarchy should be on the radio, people. Should be on the radio. It's not on the radio.
Things have happened. Let's see what happens. Crazier things have happened. I'm not banking on it, but I would love for it to happen. And in the meantime, I just keep on keeping on. And same for you, man. I wish you the best in terms of lighting it up. One day you'll have that day. You'll have your day in the sun. Just keep fighting the good fight. And I told you in private, and I tell you in public. I champion you. We're friends, and forget about all the other mess that would normally put a wall between us. Because I like the way you think. I share a lot of the opinions that you do, and and I love watching what you do.
All right, man. Let's hope we can break the algorithm right now, folks. Make sure you share the video, watch the video, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget about Patreon. I never do it on interviews, so I figured I'd do it at the end. People are annoyed. Why do you keep asking for $1? Because the videos keep getting, like blocked and censored. And, I see other channels with half the subscribers and they have 200,000 views on some crappy video about a song from 1983 that nobody cares about anymore.
Let me try it, David. Let me try it, David. Okay, folks, I need you all just to dig deep. I know you have pennies and nickels and dimes and quarters in the bottom of the purse or the wallet or the handbag or the gym bag, whatever. Just dig deep. Help out Dave Spiria. Help out the Real Music Observer. He's doing a good service for you. He's got a lot of great things that he's bringing to you at no charge to you. All you got to do is maybe just dig a little deep. Look in the couch cushions. Find some pennies equal to $1 a month, $2 a month, whatever you can give. Patreon. Just donate to the man because he's bringing you a service and he wants to continue doing it. He can't do it for free. So help him out. He's going to help you out. Jeff Scott Soto, I'm out.
Man, that's so good. I might have to just clip that and keep playing that. I'll just keep running that every day. Like, okay, here's my promo. Yeah, that's great advertising. A little churchy there, which I think was good. I think you learned from some of the other people that are out there. I won't mention any names though.
Dig deep in those couch cushions. You got to help, Dave. I've been to those. I've been to some of those church things, and man, I get so much joy out of that. I love that.
Wow, you're a very diplomatic human being. All right, so let's end this on a high note. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. God bless everybody. God bless Soto as he continues to keep the torch lit out there in the melodic rock world. And we'll see you soon.